Sharks are incredible animals packed with adaptations that make them amazing hunters. Their torpedo-shaped bodies are perfectly streamlined, jagged teeth saw through meat, and they can even track their prey's heartbeat. This specialized sense is called electroreception and is found in all elasmobranchs. Elasmobranchi is a category of fish that includes sharks, skates, and rays. While skates and rays are capable of electroreception, it is the sharks who are the most finely tuned. So what does that mean? Electroreception simply means the ability to detect electrical currents. What does electricity have to do with sharks' underwater habitat? Any muscular movement or twitches in living animals, like fish, creates small electrical currents. At hospitals, electrocardiogram machines track the electricity resulting from our heart beating. Open air does not conduct this electricity away from our bodies, but, thankfully for sharks, salt water does. Salt in salt water contains sodium and chloride ions. Ions are particles that have an electrical charge because they have lost or gained an electron. In water, these sodium and chloride ions in salt separate and move freely, transporting electricity. You can compare this to how a battery works. It's set up like an electrochemical cell that separates the negatively and positively charged ions. When connected by a wire, those opposite charges attract, meaning the positive and negative particles flow towards each other to pick up or drop off electrons to become stable again. A similar thing happens in the interaction of living cells and salt water. Because the fish's cells have a charge different from the saltwater solution in which they swim, the contact creates weak voltage in the same way as a battery. Sharks can sense the tiniest changes in this electrical current down to the 1/1000th of a volt. If two AA batteries were connected 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometers apart, a shark could detect if one ran out. So how does electroreception work in sharks? The source of sharks' electroreception lies in their snouts and lower jaws. If you look closely at a shark's face, you'll see tiny dots around the mouth that look like large blackheads. These vary in number depending on the species' hunting activity. Active sharks will have 1,500 or more, while more sedentary ones will only have a few hundred. The dots are open pores collectively called ampullae of Lorenzini. Filled with an electrically conductive jelly, the bottoms of the ampullae are lined with hair-like cells called cilia. Electrical currents travel through the jelly to the cilia. In humans, cilia inside of our ears alert our brain to noise when moved by sound waves. In sharks, cilia respond to changes in nearby electrical currents transported by the jelly. The cilia trigger the release of neurotransmitters in the shark's brain, which tells them something living looms close by. The ampullae of Lorenzini compose part of the shark's lateral line. The lateral line is a sensory organ in many fish and amphibians that stretches down their sides from gills to tail. The long hollow tube opens out into the skin at perforated scales. This system allows sharks to sense water displacement, pressure, and direction. The lateral line and electroreception, along with sharks' other senses, combine to make them incredibly keen hunters. Since 2/3 of the shark's brain is devoted to smell, its olfactory sense can get the shark hot on the trail of its next meal even in dark waters. It's only when the shark gets about 3 feet or 1 meter away from its target that electroreception kicks in to orient the jaws for an accurate final attack. For that last few feet of attack, great white sharks actually roll their eyes back into their head for protection and let their electroreception take over navigation. In experiments testing sharks' electroreception skills, scientists have confirmed that the fish will indeed make last-minute feeding decisions based on electrical impulses. For example, when given the option between a dead fish and an electrically charged rod, a shark will initially go for the fish and then alter its course towards the metal rod at the last minute. Through this type of research, scientists are hoping to develop a shark deterrent that tricks the electroreception sense. The power of electroreception also explains why sharks will continue attacking human victims even while being rescued by another person. Instead of going for the fresh meat of the rescuer, sharks will be repeatedly drawn to their previous victims because of the salt released from the blood in the water. The higher salt concentration increases the intensity of the electrical field around the victim. Since sharks can track electrical changes so well, scientists are also investigating whether electroreception plays a role in their navigation skills. Some theorize that Earth's magnetic fields may interact with salt water to form electrical currents that sharks follow during migration. Despite this and other amazing adaptations, sharks have one major problem: us. There are no natural predators to sharks, but humans kill an estimated 100 million sharks per year. That's an astounding number. The biggest threat is from the shark finning industry. Shark fin soup is a traditional Chinese delicacy that has grown in popularity as the Chinese economy has grown. The finning process is brutal. Sharks are caught, fins are removed, and the live shark is discarded back into the water. While finning remains the largest threat to sharks, fear is another threat. Recent frequency in shark encounters and attacks have led some governments, like Australia, to cull the sharks, meaning to catch them so they won't be a threat. While the pain of those attacked and suffering of those left behind should not be ignored, it must be recognized that culling sharks is not a viable solution and is not believed to impact the number of attacks. Hundreds of sharks are caught and often killed every year based off of our fear. But the truth is, sharks are not what endanger our lives the most. People are more likely to be killed by mundane or unlikely things like slipping in the bathtub, being struck by lightning, or bee stings. The most recent thing to add to that list is taking selfies. The act of taking selfies has led to more people dying than shark attacks. So remember that while sharks are amazing and interesting creatures, they are still vulnerable. Humans have great power over nature, and we can use it to protect it or destroy it. And if you ask me, when it comes to sharks, we should protect them.
I'd like to be under the sea, in an octopus's garden, in the shade.